Good morning, everyone. In the previous class, we were discussing about the pass transistor logic and the transmission gate logic. And we saw what are the problems associated with the pass transistor logic and how those problems can be solved. And also we checked like how this transmission gate kind of logic can overcome the problem of threshold voltage drop in the pass transistor logic. Okay, and we also tried to design some of the basic circuits like multiplexers and XOR gate, and we also tried we can design any of the circuit based on the transmission gate. So this is what we have already studied in the previous class. Now next to the transmission gate, there is one more logic style, and that we call it the dynamic logic circuit. Okay, so the basic difference between the static logic circuits and the dynamic logic circuit is like previously whatever we have studied, like either complementary CMOS, or it is pass transistor logic, or it is the transmission gate. All these kind of logics we call it the static logic. Okay, static logic designs. Whereas in today's lecture we will discuss about the dynamic logic circuit. Okay, so what is the basic difference? Because in static logic circuits, whatever the input we will provide to any of the circuit, that will reflect at the output, okay, immediately after a certain delay of that circuit only. Okay, but in the case of dynamic, what we have to do, it is quite different than the static one. So how it is different, you will get to know after the discussion in next 5 minutes. Okay, so let us start with the dynamic logic circuit. Okay, so dynamic logic circuit is like basically the important point of consideration in the dynamic logic circuit is like it required dynamically it need to be charged a certain node, and then based on that node or the value at that node, we need to evaluate it. Okay, so initially, if I'm talking about the static logic circuit, in those kind of circuits, whatever the input we will give, that will be reflected at the output based on the configuration whatever we have provided. But in the case of dynamic CMOS designs, even though we have provided the input, but it depends whether a particular node is charged or not. Okay, so initially we need to pre-charge it, then we need to evaluate it. So in the dynamic logic circuit, we have two different phases. One is the pre-charge and the second one is the evaluation. What is this pre-charge and evaluation? I will explain in detail. Okay, so as I told you, the dynamic logic circuit are basically used when we have to design a circuit for high performance applications. Okay, because in the CMOS based structure, we may need many transistors, too many transistors, because it depends on the number of input. Like suppose if I have the n number of inputs, so we need 2 n transistors in the CMOS logic. Okay, and to overcome that problem, we can go for the other things, but definitely there are certain problems with the pass transistor, the pseudo kind of structure, and the transmission gate kind of logics. Okay, so to overcome that problem or to improve the performances or to design the circuit for high performance applications, we need to go for the dynamic logic styles. Okay, so the very important thing is the dynamic logic circuit are basically utilized for the high performance applications. And the one difference between the static and the dynamic logic is the static logic does not require any clock signal to operate, whereas the dynamic logic or dynamic CMOS design styles required the additional clock signal to operate the circuit. Okay, how we need this clock signal, I will explain. So 3 things are unanswered. The first one is why we need clock. Second one is what is the pre-charge, and the third one is what is the evaluation. So let us discuss one by one. Okay, so if I'm talking about the pre-charge, I just told you it required the additional clock pulse. Okay, so this is the basic structure of the dynamic CMOS design. Okay, so dynamic CMOS design looks like this one, where here I have a transistor. Okay, and in the pull-up side we have kept one transistor here, and we have kept one transistor in the pull downs or in between output and the ground one. Okay, so one transistor is there in between VDD and the output, and one transistor is there in between the pull down network and the ground, and these two transistors are connected with an additional signal, and that we call it the clock. Okay, so based on this clock status, this particular circuit will work. Okay, and in between the output and this particular transistor which we have connected at the bottom, there will be the pull down network which we want to implement. Suppose I want to implement the inverter, so simply I will put one NMOS transistor over here and I will give the input. Okay, so this pull down network is just depends on the function what we want to implement. Okay, so this is how the basic structure looks like. Okay, and then we will have a load capacitance over here. So this transistor which we have placed in between VDD and the output, we call it the pre-charge transistor. Okay, so this transistor MP is nothing but this is the pre-charge transistor. Why we are calling it the pre-charge, I will tell you. Okay, and we have the next transistor, and that we call it the evaluation transistor. Basically, what this pre-charge and evaluation are responsible to pre-charge a dynamic node. So this node which we are calling the output node, this node is known as the dynamic node. So here three things are unexplored. One is the pre-charge transistor, second one is the evaluation transistor, third one is the dynamic node. Okay, and the fourth one is the clock one. Okay, so what happens if the clock is equal to 0? Okay, so let us consider if clock is equal to 0, in that case, this transistor MP will be activated. Okay, so let us try to make a pulse like this one. So if clock is 0, in that case, this transistor MP will be on. And if this MP is on, what it means, this VDD will be, or this node capacitance, whatever we have here, this will be charged through this transistor MP. Okay, so the load capacitance in this node which we are calling the dynamic node, and that node will be charged through this MP when I have provided the clock pulse 0. In this state, even though there is some change in the input pattern, there will be no reflection at the output. Even though I have changed the input, like there is some transistors which we have connected in the pull down network, and we have changed in the inputs, but that input change will not be reflected at the output because this transistor MP will be in the off state when this clock is 0, because these are complementary in nature. So when this clock is 0, in that case, MP is on. Okay, MP is on and ME is in off state, and there is no path between dynamic node and the ground. So whatever the function we will implement on the pull down network, that will not be reflected at the output side. So this is the first phase which we are saying like the pre-charge phase. Okay, the second phase is, so let me write somewhere. Okay, so in this case we are calling it pre-charge phase. Okay, similarly, if the clock is equal to 1, okay, so if the clock is equal to 1, in that case what will happen, this clock is equal to 1, so this transistor will be in the off state, this transistor will be in the on state. Then what will happen, because this transistor is on state, now based on the input pattern whatever we have provided in the pull down network, that pull down network will be evaluated. And because if suppose I have the one simple NMOS transistor in between the dynamic node and this ground, and let us assume this input is equal to 0. So even though I have provided clock 1, okay, and this ME is in on state, if the input is equal to 0, still the load capacitance will not be discharged because it will not get the path to discharge it. But if the input is equal to 1, if this input is equal to 1, in that case, because now we got the complete path between the dynamic node and the ground, because this transistor is also on, this is also on, so this capacitor will be discharged. So this function will be evaluated. Okay, either so the function will be evaluated if clock is equal to 1. So we are calling this phase as an evaluation phase. Okay, so we have the two phases, precharge and evaluation. So precharge will be there like if the clock is equal to 0, and if evaluation will be there if clock is equal to 1. Now the question is, so we need to come up with some conclusion out of this discussion. Suppose I have precharge this node, dynamic node, this load capacitance is charged during the precharge phase. Now let us see, I have provided the input something like this. So let me provide, let us consider I have a single transistor in between for the simplicity, so you will be able to understand. Okay, so let us assume I have, in place of this pull down network, I have this transistor. Okay, let us assume this is A. Okay, so what will happen if there is some change in the input? Okay, if there is some change in the input, something like this during the precharge phase, like let us assume there is 0, and if there is some change in the input during the precharge phase, so let us assume this is the A. So can anyone suggest what will be the output waveform?
So output will be VDD only. For
output will always be the VDD only, because there is no direct path to evaluate it. So the output waveform will look like this one. So it will be VDD kind of. Okay, so this is how the output will look like. Now let us talk about if I went into the evaluation phase, and during the evaluation, if the logic is low, okay, if the logic is low, in this case, this NMOS transistor, whatever we have provided, that will not be activated. And if this is not activated, output will remain same. It will not be changed. Okay, but let us assume if I have changed the input from 0 to 1 for some instant of time. So if I have changed the input from 0 to 1 for some instant of time, so let me make with the same color so that, okay, so initially output was high. Okay, and if there is some change in the input, because I went into the evaluation phase, this output will become 0. Okay, so this load capacitance will be discharged. Now let us assume I have changed the logic in the precharge phase, like in the evaluation phase, again A is logic low. So can anyone tell what should be the output?
So 0 only.
0 only. So now the important thing is, once it is evaluated and once the capacitor is discharged, and if we are in the same evaluation phase, we cannot make change in the input. Even though we have made some changes, that change will not be reflected at the output because the dynamic node has been discharged to ground. Okay, so if I have to evaluate some other input pattern, so I need to precharge it again in the next cycle. Okay, so the output will remain the same even though we have provided input low, because the capacitor will not be charged. Now in the next cycle, once it will come, then output will charge again. This load capacitance will charge, and then now it will it will check what is the input pattern over here, and based on that, that will evaluate. So the important point of consideration is, even though there are, let us assume in the precharge phase, let us assume it is charged, no problem, it will not be reflected. But in the evaluation phase, even though there are more than one changes, okay, but the output will not be changed with that much of time. Okay, so this will be charged, this will be evaluated at this time, and once it is evaluated, it will not evaluate this particular cycle, second cycle or second pulse in the input, that will not be evaluated, and it will wait for the next precharge, and the output waveform will look like this one. So this is how this dynamic CMOS circuit works with the two different phases. Okay, so this is really important. Is there any doubt how it is working? So this is really very important to understand what is the advantage and what means, what is the drawback. Like, see, advantage is because this dynamic node is already charged, so we don't need the evaluation will be faster. So this is how we can achieve with the dynamic logic circuit. A few points that we need to note here. Yeah, so suppose I have if I want to make an inverter based on the CMOS, in that case we know that we need 2 N transistor to evaluate. Okay, but like if I want to make any of the circuit with the CMOS, then I need 2 N transistor. But in the dynamic node, if you see here, suppose I have 3 inputs, so I need 3 transistors for the dynamic pull down network, and then 2 additional transistors for the pre-charge in the evaluation. So the total number of transistors required is equal to N plus 2. Okay, so the total number of transistors required is equal to N plus 2. So if I want to implement the inverter, in that case I need 3 transistors, so there is some area penalty in the dynamic node. But if I have more than 2 inputs, like if I have 2 inputs, then in that case I will require 4 transistors, so that will be same as the CMOS one. But if I am increasing the number of input more than 2, like 3, in that case 3 plus 2, that will be total number of transistors required will be 5, and for the CMOS based design that will require 6 transistors. Similarly, if let us assume I have increased the number of input with the 5, in that case I need only 12 transistors in case of dynamic CMOS designs. But in case of CMOS, I need 10 I need like 5 10 transistors. So, and for 5 input in the dynamic, I need 7 transistors only. Okay, so as we are going to increase the number of inputs, the area save or area penalty in the CMOS circuit will be more, okay, as compared to the dynamic one. So this is how we can utilize this one. The important thing is, like, because we are evaluating the pull down network, or we are designing the pull down network in these dynamic CMOS designs, so because we know that the pull down network should be made of the NMOS transistors only, okay, to make the better swing between the VDD and the ground, because the NMOS transistor can be utilized to for the strong low. Okay, so pull down network should be made of the NMOS transistor. Ideally, we are assuming, like, if you want the best performance. Okay, so if you summarize here, so in the dynamic CMOS design style or dynamic logic circuits, we need N plus 1 NMOS transistor and 1 PMOS transistor. Okay, so what is the advantage of this one? Because most of the transistors are made of NMOS transistor only, and only one transistor is there which is made of the PMOS transistor. So I don't need to increase the area of PMOS transistor too much, because to maintain the functionality, I need to increase the size of PMOS transistor by 2.5 times. So that additional 1.5 times area overhead which was needed in the PMOS transistor will be saved. So overall, because the majority number of majority transistors are the NMOS kind of, so that to match, even to match the, we don't need to increase the sizes. So this is also one of the benefit with this one. So there are a few things that we should know, like the N plus 2 number of transistors are needed. Second one is like N plus 1 NMOS is needed, and 1 PMOS transistor is needed. And for every input pattern, I just discussed, like, you need to pre-charge and then you need to evaluate it. In a single evaluation phase, you cannot evaluate 2 different kind of patterns. This is really very important. So let me repeat it again. In a single evaluation phase, you cannot evaluate two different kind of input patterns. Each evaluation phase can evaluate only one input pattern. So this is really very important. Okay, so if you see here, this input pattern will not be evaluated. Okay. Okay, so this kind of things we should know. Okay, now the thing is like what it means, only one transition per evaluation phase is possible. Okay, so per evaluation phase only we need one transition is possible. Why we are saying this dynamic CMOS design is better in terms of the performance, like high performance applications, because there are less number of transistor in the pull-up network here. Like we have only one transistor, which is the pre-charge transistor. So the number of transistors are very less. And if number of transistors are very less, then the effective load capacitance will, or internal load capacitance will reduce. Okay, so if the internal load capacitance will reduce, then the effective load capacitance will also reduce. So like it will be slow. It means it will not be slow. Similarly, because the output capacitance is also low, because there are less number of transistors in the pull-up network, so effectively CL will also be reduced. So internal capacitance, output capacitance, these are going to reduce in case of the dynamic CMOS design as compared to the static one. Okay, so because there are less number of transistors. So these are some of the reasons, some of the important points that we should note about the dynamic CMOS design. Let us try to check the dynamic CMOS design in more detail. So in case if you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we can move ahead with this one. Okay, so this slide is really very important, and rest other, because if you are able to understand what I am explaining in this particular slide, rest all other slides are really very simple, not that much difficult. So this slide is important to understand. Okay, so let us try to design a dynamic logic based inverter circuit. So what we need to do, simply we need to replace this pull-up network, this pull-down network with the single transistor. Let us assume this single transistor is the M1, and we have provided some load capacitances. So this is nothing but this is the pull-down network. So this is how it will look like. So this is the dynamic logic based inverter. We have simply replaced this pull-down network with a single transistor, and that could be that could work as a dynamic logic. Now let us try to see how this is functioning. So if clock is equal to 0, so in that case, there will be the pre-charge phase. So pre-charge phase is there, MP will be in the on state, and then node N will be charged. Okay, but if clock is equal to 1, in that case, we call it the evaluation phase or evaluate phase. Then the ME will be in on state, transistor ME will be in the on state, and MP will be in the off state. So now there could be two possibilities. Either A will be 0 or A is equal to 1. So one case could be like if A is equal to 0, in that case M1 is in off state, so output will remain same. There is no change, so output will be VDD. And similarly, if I have placed A is equal to 1, in that case M1 will be in on state, ME is already in on state, so the output will become ground, because this capacitor CL will be discharged through these two transistors. Okay, but one thing that we can consider here is, what is the problem with this kind of circuit, especially with the less number of transistors. Suppose I want to make a CMOS inverter. Okay, suppose I have a CMOS inverter which looks like this one. Okay, if you see here, the suppose I have the load capacitance over here. So to discharge this load capacitance, the effective on resistance, that will be the single on resistance based on this transistor only. But in the case of dynamic logic style, we need to, like if let us assume M1 and ME are equal, in that case the effective resistance will be double. So the TPHL will be increased by 2 times. So this is the problem. Okay, But at the same time, this TPLH will be same because I have the same number of transistors in the pull-up network side. So TPLH will be same, but the TPHL will be increased, especially with the less number of transistors. So one question could be like, if the TPHL is increasing, how we can claim it is the high performance circuit, or it can be utilized for the high performance circuit. So to overcome that, this problem, we can update this dynamic logic circuit, and we will see what is the updated version of the dynamic logic circuit. Okay, so let us go to the next slide, and then I will tell you what is the problem.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, please.
Sir, if how is this acting as inverter? Because means it is not sensitive to the input. Like suppose it is already been evaluated once, and if I change the input, then there will be no difference like that.
So this is the important thing. Like, see, this dynamic logic circuit will behave as a logic or as a function, whatever we have implemented, only if it is precharged and we are evaluating it the first time. So during evaluation phase, it will act as an inverter. Once it is evaluated, even though we have made some change in the input in the same evaluation phase, that will not act as an inverter. So this is the limitation of this dynamic logic circuit. So how to overcome that limitation? Yeah, this is really good question. So let me go back to the previous slide so that that question I can answer. Okay. So here, you're absolutely correct. Like suppose if I have made some change in the input during the evaluation phase, and if I want to change another if I want to make the another change in the input, but that will not be evaluated because the evaluation phase is still valid. Okay, so to overcome that problem, what we can do that we should increase the clock frequency so that this pre-charge in the evaluation time period will be reduced, so the next input pattern should not come into that one. Okay, so this is one of the possible way to overcome that problem, but still the problem will not be solved. Like if the frequency of input change is more as compared to the clock frequency, then we need to wait for the next evaluation phase if I want to implement the next input pattern. Okay, you got the answer what I said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one possibility could be like we can reduce the time period of this charge and evaluation, or increase the frequency. So that is one of the possible way, but this is not 100%. This is not a solution to solve all the problems. Okay, so still the problem will be there, and that depends on like if the input change is more frequent than the clock frequency, then the problem will remain valid. Okay, so this problem cannot be solved here. So this is the limitation with the dynamic CMOS one. Okay, so we discussed like how we can design the dynamic logic based inverter, and we had some problem with this one, like the because during the TPHL, like the discharging of this capacitance, two transistors are involved, and if two transistors are involved, so effective TPHL is going to increase. Okay, so and TPHL is going to increase and TPLH will remain same. Okay, if the size is same, so TPHL will remain same, but TPLH and TPHL is going to increase by 2 times if M1 and ME are of same size. So to overcome this problem, we can go for the next kind of design. So let us try to see what are the other alternatives. So this is what we generally studied, like just in the previous slide. This is how this dynamic CMOS design looks like. Yes, one more important thing. In the first slide, what we studied, because there are two phases, one is the pre-charge phase and one is the evaluation phase. So we call this kind of circuit pre-charge evaluation logic circuit. So we can also call them the PE logic circuit. So this kind of circuit, we call it the PE logic circuit, because they are pre-charging in the evaluating. So we call them the PE logic circuit. Okay. Yes. Like I just told you, because in the previous slide, we studied like the TPHL is going to increase by 2 times. So to overcome that problem, because here I have the pre-charge transistor, here I have the evaluation transistor, and that delay is increasing due to this evaluation transistor. So this evaluation transistor is added, and that because of this, the delay is going to increase. So to overcome that problem, what we can do, if somehow we can reduce this remove this evaluation transistor, so still this will be valid for the dynamic circuit. And then, so this particular structure, whatever we have made, we call it the footed dynamic logic, because we have provided the footer transistor over here, which we are calling like evaluation transistor. We can also call it the footer transistor. Okay, so we have provided some footer transistor over here between the dynamic node and the ground. So this kind of dynamic logic styles are known as footed dynamic logic. Okay, but this footer transistor or this evaluation transistor is responsible to increase the delay. So to overcome that problem, what we can do, if somehow we can remove this footer transistor or this evaluation transistor, so this will become the effective circuit, and that will solve the delay problem, and we call it the footless dynamic logic circuit. Okay, so this is how we call it the footless dynamic logic. Now this pull down network is that will decide what is the output. But there is some problem here. Even though we solve the problem of this delay by removing this evaluation transistor, but what is the problem with this one? Can anyone tell what is the problem? Can you guess what is the problem with this one? So yeah, let me explain. Might be you will not be able to understand what I want to say. So let us try to see. Suppose I have a clock pulse like this. Okay, I'm making the clock pulse for both the circuits. Okay, so let us see. This is the structure of clock pulse, and there is some change in the input like this. Initially it was 0, something it was 1, 0, and something like this. This is the input pattern. For example, this is the input pattern. Okay, so this is the let us assume I have a single transistor here in the pull down network, and single transistor in both the pull down network. I have a single transistor. Okay, so let us consider I have a single transistor, and I have connected here. This is, let us assume, A, and here also we have a single transistor which I have connected, and that is, let us assume, this is A. Okay, so this we are calling it is A, and this is nothing but we are calling it the clock. Okay, now let us try to check the output, how the output will look like. Let us check with the first one. Okay, with the first one, how the output will look like. If A is equal to 0 and clock is equal to 0, so if the clock is equal to 0, this dynamic node will be charged. Okay, and if dynamic node is charged, even though there is some change in the input during the pre-charge phase, this input will not be evaluated. So the output will become high, or it will be charged, and it will remain charged until the next one. Now, when during the evaluation phase, if I will get some change in the input in the first circuit, like footed one, then the output will change to 0, and that will remain 0 until it is not charged. Okay, so this will be the waveform for the first circuit. Now let us try to see how the waveform for the second circuit will look like. So this is the output. If I'm considering the second circuit, if the clock is equal to 0 and the input is equal to 0, in that case, definitely the output will be high. But even though we are pre-charging the node, and if there is some change in the input, so this is in on state, this A is also in on state, this transistor is on state. So this complete structure will act as a voltage divider circuit, because both the transistors are on VDD. So there will be a direct path between VDD and the ground. And if there is some direct path between VDD and ground, so the power dissipation will be more, and it will act as a voltage divider circuit. So the load capacitance will discharge up to the level, and that depends on what is the size of these transistors. Okay, so I'm assuming like the resistance of both the transistors are equal, like we have managed the size of those transistors in a such a way that the offered resistance are equal. So in that case, I will get the 50% value. Okay, that will discharge to the 50% value to this one, and during evaluation phase, that will, let us assume this will evaluate something like this. Okay, so this is how this design is different, like the what kind of problem we will face. So we are solving the problem by removing this evaluation transistor to increase the performance, or to increase the or to decrease the delay. But at the same time, this structure becomes the more power hungry. So this can be utilized for the high performance applications, but not for the energy efficient applications, because this will dissipate the power. And of course, there is some logic change here. So the capacitor will stepped kind of response we will achieve, we will get at the output side. So if there is no change in the input during the pre-charge phase, so there is no problem. So both the circuit will perform equally. So then there is no problem with that one. But if there is some change during pre-charge phase, and no one can guarantee whether there is some change in the input or not. So there is a possibility like during the pre-charge phase, there could be some change in the input. And in that case, this second kind of design will not work perfectly in terms of logic change. Okay. So this is what we can do. So how we can overcome that problem? Like I want to reduce the delay, and also I want to make it a perfect logic. So how we can do that? Even though both the transistors are on, I need to maintain like this. This should not degrade to this level. This should be maintained high. Okay, so
Level
that
restoration.
what?
Level restoration.
Level restoration can be done. Perfect. So you got very good thing which I wanted to teach tomorrow or the next week, but you got early. So this is really very good thing. So we can utilize the level restorer to overcome that problem. And one more solution is like somehow if we are able to increase the size of MP, so the resistance will be reduced or something like, so we'll get the more output. So by changing the resistances, we can also change the voltage level. So how much drop it could be, how much it will take time to discharge, something like that. So this can be restored with a two-way. One is the level restorer, which we have studied before, and the second possibility could be by changing the sizing of these transistors. Okay, so this is the solution. Okay, so there are two possibilities, like we can use the footed one or the footless transistors. But if I'm using the footless transistors, so perfectly you suggested like we can use the level restorer to overcome this problem. But still, like if there is some change in the input during the pre-charge phase, we cannot solve the problem of the power dissipation, because there is a direct path between VDD and the ground. Okay, so if there is a direct path, so the power dissipation will be very high. Okay, so there are some positive and negative for both kind of circuits. Okay, so this is what I just, I will discuss these things in more detail when I will talk about the issues with this one. Okay, so this is what about the footed and footless dynamic logics. Okay, now let us go to the next slide. Let us try to implement some function. Let us have the function like f is equal to ab plus c whole complement. So how to implement any logic based on the dynamic logic circuit? Okay, if I have a function, because remember, because in the dynamic logic circuit we are implementing the pull down network. And if somehow we can recall the previous thing, whatever we have done, to design the pull down network, we just simply need to complement the function, and that will work as a pull down network. So let me recall what we have to do. To design the pull up network, we can complement the function. We can simply forget the function without complementing it. But if I have to design the pull down network, in that case, simply by inverting or by complementing the function, we can implement the pull down network. So this is that much quite simple. Okay, so let us check what I want to say. Suppose I have a function, because I have to implement the pull down network. So this is the function which is like a b plus c complement. Okay, so for to design the pull down network, PDN, what I need to do, I need to simply complement the function, and that will be like a b plus c. Okay, now all the variables here are individuals. Now what we can do, simply because a and b are here, so I need to put two transistors in the series, and then I need to put one transistor to the parallel of those two transistors. So this is how we can implement. So let us try to see here. Yeah, so this is the simple circuit. What we can do, a and b will be done in the series, and then I need to keep the third transistor, which is that should be in the parallel one. Okay, so this is how this pull down network, or this is how we can implement the dynamic logic circuit based on like for a particular circuit. Okay, similarly, if I want to implement the yeah, so this circuit, whatever we have designed just now, this is nothing but this is the footed logic, footed dynamic logic, and we have implemented this function with based on the footed logic. Okay, this another we can design, like if I want to make it footless, then the simplest we have to remove this evaluation transistor, and then this circuit will act as a this will implement the same function with means like footless kind of arrangement. So this is that much simple. So I think I don't need to put too much time on this, because you are able to understand how these are working. So this is really simple, and you can do it. Okay. In case of any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we can move ahead with the next slide. Okay. So this is how we can implement any particular function based on this dynamic logic circuit. Okay. Now, what are the dynamic logic circuit design considerations? Okay, so yeah, so if I have to design a dynamic logic circuit, we need to consider certain things that need to be addressed, especially if I'm designing the dynamic logic circuit. So because the special emphasis that need to we need to take care of the several constraints, like the input should not change during the pre-charge time. There should be no more than one change during the evaluation phase. So these are some considerations that you need to take care while designing these dynamic logic circuits. Okay, so let us discuss a few things. So the first consideration is how to improve the speed and the power dissipation. So this is one of the things. And the second design consideration is issues with what are the different issues with the dynamic logic circuit. So we will first discuss how this circuit or these dynamic logic circuits are behaving if I'm considering the speed or the delay, and how they are behaving if I'm considering the power dissipation. Okay, and the second thing which we need to consider is like what are the different issues or different problems associated with the dynamic logic circuits, and how to overcome those problems if I'm considering the dynamic logic circuit designing. Okay, so let us discuss one by one what are the problems and what are the solutions. Okay, so and so we will talk about the two kind of issues. The first one will be the signal integrity issues. What is the signal integrity issues? I will tell you. And the second one, we will talk about the cascading problem. So if we are cascading two dynamic circuits, so what kind of problems we may face and how to overcome that problem. We will also try to come up with the solution of those problems. Okay, so these are the design considerations that need to be considered, especially if I'm designing the dynamic logic circuits. Okay, So let us start with the first one, which is the speed and the power dissipation. Okay, so first thing is the speed and power dissipation. Before I start this speed and power dissipation, let me classify the different kind of logic styles. Initially, we studied the complementary CMOS based circuit or inverter. So let us consider the inverter as a reference, and we will compare the different parameters based on those things. So the first thing which we have already studied, the CMOS inverter. So this could be considered in the analysis. Okay, so this is the simple structure of the CMOS inverter, and we will compare this CMOS inverter with the dynamic one. Now let us try to make, yeah, so this is nothing but this is the static CMOS logic. Next one is, if I have to make an inverter kind of structure based on the dynamic. So this is nothing but this is the footed inverter logic, because evaluation transistor is here. And the third possibility, yeah, so we call it the footed dynamic one. And the third one is like there was a problem with the footed one, so we can go with the footless kind of structure. And in the footless kind of structure, we can implement something like this one. Okay, so here we have a three segment of the structure which we need to compare in terms of speed and the power dissipation. So let us start with few things. Still I have 3 minutes of time, so we can come up with things. But yeah, definitely tomorrow I need to discuss it again, because in 3 minutes it is not that much possible to explain it properly. Okay, so yeah, let us start briefly, then tomorrow we will discuss in detail. So if I'm talking about the static CMOS kind of structure, in the static CMOS kind of structure, so TPLH is decided by this transistor M2, okay, and the TPHL is decided by this transistor M1. Okay, so let us use the laser. So TPLH and the TPHL are decided by the M2 and M1 respectively. Similarly, if I'm considering this footed dynamic one, so in this footed dynamic one, if you see here, if the size of this MP, M2 and this MP, like these two MP and this M2 are same, in that case, the TPLH for all these logics will be equal. Okay, if this MP and the M2 size are equal, in that case, the TPLH will be same for all the combinations. Okay. Now let us discuss about what is the status if I am talking about the TPHL. So see here, if we see the first case, like the static CMOS case, here I have one transistor. I'm assuming that all the transistors which we have kept in the between the output and the ground are of same size. Okay, so this is the assumption. So what I'm assuming, this transistor M1, this M1, this ME, this M1, all these transistors are of same size. So if you see here in the CMOS static CMOS based structure, the TPHL and for this footless dynamic logic, TPHL will be same. So TPHL for the first and the third circuit will be equal, whereas the TPHL for the second circuit will be double than the rest two arrangements. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, so yeah, so we do not have that much time. So tomorrow we'll discuss them again with more detail. What are the power dissipations? Yeah, I already discussed the speed and the power, but in detail I think I need to take more time to discuss these things, and we will see it in the next class. So I'm closing the session here only. In case of any doubt, you can ask the question or you can write email to me. So thank you so much.